Hi readers, today we are going to talk about a super important comprehension, meaning how do you understand, strategy for poetry, and it's called visualizing. Hopefully that sounds familiar to you because we have talked about creating mental movies in our head when we're reading any kind of text. However, it's particularly important for poetry because, as you might recall from our Poet's Purpose lesson, one reason poets write poetry is because they want to create imagery, which are these mental movies in your mind. In writing, we've been spending a lot of time talking about how to show what we're feeling instead of just telling our audience, right? Poets love to do that. They love to use super descriptive words so that you are creating these thoughts and feelings and images into your mind as they write. As you probably know by now, there aren't a ton of poems with a lot of pictures. In fact, as I've been reading Love That Dog, the only picture that I've seen is of our concrete poems, where they're actually written in the shape of whatever the topic is. So turns out, as far as poetry goes, they aren't super heavy on the illustrations, which means we have to create those in our minds. So we're going to practice that today. I'm going to do a Pear Deck where I show you how to visualize, and then you're going to try it with a different poem. Let's get started. All right, the first stanza of my poem is, my brother's bug was green and plump. It did not run. It could not jump. It had no fur for it to shed. It slept all night beneath his bed. Okay, I've got lots to work with here. So let's get started with my green. Green and plump. Okay, plump being a synonym for maybe pretty full. No running, no jumping. So I'm not going to add like any movement lines. No fur. Bugs usually have legs. And they usually have heads. Okay, I've taken care of that part. No fur. Oh, beneath his bed. I've got to draw a bed. And you know what? I'm not super worried about my art. This isn't art class, in fact, but I kind of think that Miss Aldana would be proud of whatever art I could come up with. And a blue blanket with maybe a yellow pillow. Okay. Now, I'm going to prove that what I drew was based on the text. I'm going to use my text as evidence, which is what we're always trying to do as great readers. So the directions say to drag at least two, which means maybe even more if I'm trying to challenge my thinking, to the descriptive parts of the poem that help me visualize. Well, I definitely used the words green and plump, and I drew that bed. Let's get more info from the next stanza. My brother's bug had dainty feet. Okay, dainty being kind of fragile. I think I might need to make some changes to my drawing. It did not need a lot to eat. It did not need a lot to drink. It did not scream. It did not stink. Okay, so I'm going to go, nothing changed about the color. Still going to have my bug. It's still going to have a head. You know, I am thinking that my legs maybe need to be skinnier. So let's see. Let's make some dainty legs. Oh, that looks better. Okay, I was going to add a bowl for water and food because, I mean, that's normally what we set out for animals in our house, but it says it doesn't need that. And I was going to add maybe like a speech bubble in case my bug talked, but it tells me it doesn't scream. And I was going to add like maybe some squiggles to maybe show a reader that it was like super stinky, but I don't need that either. So let's prove that my drawing fits the description. I definitely use dainty feet. And you know, sometimes the clues in the poem are telling us what not to draw. I didn't have a food bowl. I didn't have a water bowl. I could have even added 2 more dots, showing that I didn't add a speech bubble or maybe some stinky lines because the poem told me none of those things matched. Let's try our last stanza. It always tried to be polite. It did not scratch. It did not bite. Okay, so no teeth, no claws. The only time it soiled the rug, okay, I'm going to need to add a rug, was when I squashed my brother's bug. Now I have to draw a squashed bug. Let's start with the rug first. Maybe here's the rug. And I'm going to go a little bit bigger for my green bug because it's been squashed. Ew. No teeth, no claws. Now it's time for me to prove it. No teeth, no claws. I included the rug, and honestly, I could even use a few more dots because I definitely showed that my bug got squashed. Have fun with your next poem.